Good morning. It's June 21st, the first day of summer, 2014, 1999, yes. 2014, it's 9 a.m., and this is TV Toastmasters. Yay! We need enthusiasm, excitement. There's magic in the air. There's electricity in the studio. I'd like to introduce our Toastmaster for today, Kormelink.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome to all of our members and our guests and our viewing audience at home. We're going to have a great meeting today. We actually have more guests in our studio than we have members. I would like to welcome Joe Swirling, Bev Snyder, and Michael Zay, who are running the cameras for us today. Thank you very much. Ram Kapoor, he has been out recruiting, and he has talked to, the young man was skateboarding in the parking lot, and he talked to him, and now we have 6 people. Kent Johnson and his dad, Dan, Josh Skittleman, and his mom and dad, Mike and Chris Skittleman. Dave Capano is visiting us from the Mount Auburn Club and is going to be giving a speech. Janet Caslin is our Area 52 governor, and she is going to be doing the installation of the new officers for next year. And we have 2 brand new members who are joining us today, Melanie and Rich Gant. Melanie Jones Gant and Rich Gant. And we're always looking for new members. As the Toastmaster, it's my job to keep the meeting running on time and make sure that everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing and that the meeting goes very smoothly. We like to increase our vocabulary, and we have a word of the day. And our word today will be given to us by Rich, and he will also be counting our killer filler words, the you-knows, ums, ahs, and but. Rich, if you would like to come up.
Your word of the day is propensity. I didn't choose it, so I have to now look at the definition. An often intense natural inclination or preference. I didn't write it either. Propensity. As grammarian, I have a propensity for judging you harshly. Do not use the fill or kill words. No ands, ums, likes, us, likes, you knows, likes, us. Please don't do that. Please.
Here, Richard, Rich. We always return control of the lectern. Thank you very much. And we'll put this here so we can see. And that means an intense natural inclination or preference. Okay. How am I going to use that? We have a propensity to have a smooth running meeting, and that will be smooth today, thanks to all of you. Your challenge is when you come up to the lectern, we do have the fun part of the day where you have the table topics where you're asked a question not of your choosing, and your challenge is to use the word of the day when you're up here at the lectern. Our table topics master today is Steve Ahrenholz. Let us welcome Steve Ahrenholz, Distinguished Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol. Well, welcome to all our guests here in our studio and as well as those looking in from home. The table topics portion of our meeting is where we are going to be practicing our impromptu speaking. This is probably the type of speaking that we do the most throughout the week. We're asked questions at work. We have something that we need to comment on. We need to make a request. We have to put together what it is we want to say. We think a bit about how we want to present it, and then we will speak on it. I'm going to be calling on a few people in the studio this morning to participate in table topics. My overall theme today is the summer solstice, which I think happens somewhere around 11 o'clock this morning. Today we have the longest day of the year. So all those of you who have been relishing the fact that we have more daylight when you get home in the evening, well, that's going to start changing again. Until we get to December 21st, then it's going to be the shortest. But it is the official start of summer today. It's also the start of the season when I have a propensity to just sweat like crazy, because some of us who grew up in more northern climes are just not used to this oppressive humidity and heat that we have. Today, is going to be a good example of that because we have some fog this morning, we had rain yesterday, and I need to mow lawn this afternoon. So I'll be watering the lawn as I'm cutting it. Well, my first question that I'm going to put out this morning, please share with us one of your favorite memories of summer from your childhood. And I'm going to ask Janet Castleman to come up here and share with us a favorite memory of summer from your childhood. Welcome, Janet.
I have a long ways to think since my childhood. Let's see, I can remember we would visit my grandmother and grandfather Suter. They lived on a farm, and my grandmother was a good cook, and she would make a peach custard pie. And so that was a really good thing to get to sample some of her peach custard pie. My grandmother, she had a wood stove in her house, and she would check the temperature by just kind of sticking her hand in a little bit before she would stick the pie in. And it needed to be a little warmer. She put another log of wood on the fire. Anyway, and she also had a deep freezer, and she would always have cookies to pull out of the freezer to serve to us. And that made our summer vacations special.
Thank you, Janet. Boy, a wood cook stove in the kitchen in summer. Maybe that's where the cliche came, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. All right, for my next question, do you like or dislike hot summer weather, and why? And I'm going to ask our timer to come up here and give us her response to whether she likes or dislikes hot summer weather, and to tell us why. Mary?
Thank you. The reason why he does this is because I hate coming up here. Well, no, I do not like hot weather. I'd rather it be 65 degrees, tell you the truth. I walk up a hill every morning to go to work. Then I walk up another hill. And I am soaked before I get to work. And I just wish it would not get hot and steamy and sweaty and everything else. I just don't like this. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Yes, this is the time of the year when you wear anything and you know up front, this is one time and then it's in the laundry. For my third question, I would like to know, what is a food that you associate with summer and why? And I'm going to ask Richard Gant to come up and respond to that. Richard? Welcome.
A food that I associate with summer, deviled eggs. They're picnic food. As a child, we always ate them in the summer because it was something that you could make in advance, leave in the fridge, and not have to eat the whole house up with when you were ready to have dinner. And as a result, I can't eat them any other time of the year. Deviled egg at Christmas would be ridiculous. So, more than anything else, deviled eggs. Oh, and watermelon. As a child, if you're not eating watermelon, spitting seeds everywhere, you're doing something wrong.
Thank you, Richard. Madam Toastmaster, do we have time for one more table topic, or shall we wind it up? All right. Well, you've had an opportunity to see us do some of our impromptu speaking. This is going to conclude table topics, and I'm going to return our meeting back to the Toastmaster. Madam Toastmaster?
The long and the short of it. Thank you for those great questions, Steve.
Name an effective political leader in history who couldn't speak well. There aren't any.
Because when it comes to a disease,
Freedom
like
requires
breast
leadership,
cancer, there are
and
no
leadership requires
parties.
oratory. You have to speak to be heard.
I have a dream.
It's all about personal growth and guts.
Never give in. Never, never, never.
Our first speaker today with a prepared speech will be Rick Davis. And Rick is, I have your introduction right here, is speaking from the Basic Competent Communicator Manual, doing Project 7, Research Your Topic. His objectives are to collect information about his topic from numerous sources and carefully support his points and opinions with specific facts, examples, and illustrations gathered through research. His time is 5 to 7 minutes. Rick is a distinguished Toastmaster. He's given over 50 speeches to reach that level, and he's done that more than once, going through speeches. And he's the founder of Talk Toastmasters Club, which is my home club. TV Toastmasters, this was his brainchild to have a club in a studio. And the Bearcat Toastmasters, and he's also a co-founder of the NIOSH Toastmasters where he works. He is the current president of TV, and he is next year's president of NIOSH. He's been serving as an officer quite some time here. Today he will be presenting a research talk on television, on television. Let us welcome Rick Davis, Distinguished Toastmaster.
Thank you, Carol. Television. What does the word mean? It means vision at a distance, tele and vision. And TV is literally everywhere. From the sports bar that you go into to your iPhone, you can get TV. And now Google Glass. You can watch TV on your Google Glass. Today's talk, I'd like to talk first about the technical aspects of television and some of the history, and then I'd like to talk about the magic of television. So we think of TV as a relatively recent invention, but it turns out that the first vision at a distance occurred back in the late 1800s, and it involved transmitting pictures over the telegraph line. Can you believe that? These photos were scanned in the same way that the fax machines scan documents today. And in fact, that's the way television works, is by scanning photos very, very quickly. If you look at a camera, it's basically scanning your photo and putting it out on the TV monitor. Now, some of the earliest contraptions to transmit photos involved using pendulums on either end so that they could be timed so that the scanning was in sync. And they were able to transmit not very, very high quality pictures. There was even if you go to the Wikipedia page and look at television, there was even an effort to transmit photos via audio so that you could send them over a telephone line, and they have pictures that were transmitted via LP records. It's very interesting. Not very high quality, but if you knew what you were looking at, you could identify the person. In the 1920s, moving images were first transmitted using electronic and mechanical means, and so the scanning involved the mechanical mean, and the electronic was the way that the light and dark was transmitted. So in 1927, the first fully electronic version of television was developed. Now, with World War II, civilian television was put on hold for the war effort, and but the first television broadcasts were broadcast by GE as test signals. And the first over-the-air television came just prior to World War II. During World War II, the main visual element was movies. Everybody went to the movies on the weekend. They got their news through the movies, that sort of thing. And it wasn't until after World War II that television really took off. Since that time, television has evolved. And the color television became common in the 60s, or first became available in the 60s. And in fact, here in town, in Cincinnati, at one point in Cincinnati's history, we were the largest per capita city for having color sets because we had somebody called Ruth Lyons, and she would convince all of her listeners or viewers to have their husbands buy them a color TV set or whatever, which at the time cost about the same as an average month's salary. And she would convince them to buy a color TV set, and because of that, I think her TV show was the only thing that was carried in color at that time. But she was able to raise the number of color television sets in the city of Cincinnati. Her TV show was broadcast on WLWT. Since then, televisions are basically the same. They're higher definition, and now they're digital, but they're basically the same thing that has been around since about 1948. So what's changed? What's changed is the early television was all live. It was all done live. And so if there was any kind of a mess up that was involved, it went out over the air. If somebody said a bad word or somebody did something or fell on their face, it went out over the air, and there wasn't a whole lot that could be done about that. Then the advent of videotape allowed the taping of shows. They could go back and edit out all those mess-ups, change things around. And the nice thing about editing is that you can expand or contract time as you need to. So you can add in commercials already, huh? You can add in commercials. You can subtract out things so that you can get it to exactly the right amount of time. And what's happened is that the original TV shows were 15 minutes in length, and then they went to 30 minutes in length. And now the average television show is 60 minutes in length. In the early days of TV news, they used 16 millimeter film, and videotape allowed much more compact cameras, much more, in fact now they use satellite uplinks and things like that, even at the local level. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the magic of TV. And when we talk in front of a Toastmasters club, we are talking one person to many people, and we're used to that. We're used to talking to many people, and it's not very intimate. And similar things happen on television. So when the director, Nikki, talked about the way she sets up shots and everything, one of the things we can do is on camera 2, we have a wide angle shot. And if you'll go to 2, now if you look at the monitor, you'll see that this is a wide shot, and it looks expansive. If you've ever been to a regular TV show, Letterman or something like that, what you'll notice is the studio is really smaller than what it looks like on TV. But if you look at the shot, it looks like a gigantic studio. We have this gigantic studio. I can go from one side to another, and it's called an establishing shot. And the thing about it is this is the way a lot of amateur video is taken. You know, a very wide shot. It's not very interesting is the problem. It's very much like attending a Toastmaster meeting. You have a very, very poor view of the person's face, that sort of thing. So, but what you'll see is at the very beginning of Letterman or very beginning of Fallon or any of the talk shows, they show this big shot and the camera zooming in and going all over the place. And it gives you a kind of a feel that this is a gigantic operation, and it really isn't. Okay, the bad part about this is that the audience can distract because we're getting the backs of your heads, so if Carol decides to talk to somebody or turn around or somebody's scratching their head or if somebody walks in front of the camera, it can be very distracting for people viewing at home. So it's not a real great shot. It's one of the transition shots that we use a lot of times. I'd like to talk a little bit about a 2-shot. So when the director goes for a 2-shot, I might be interviewing somebody. I have my camera, and you'll note that now we're kind of looking at the the waist up. This is kind of the 60 minutes shot, where I'm trying to interview somebody. And it's almost like being in on a private conversation when you have somebody else standing next to you and you're interviewing them. And so it's important that you establish some eye contact with the camera, or else people feel like they're sort of intruding into your space. So you need to invite the audience into this. The third shot that is really good, this is a very intimate shot, and we don't hardly ever use it, because what happens is that if you don't have a cameraman on the camera, you can move out of it, and that's a headshot. And you'll see that now I can talk directly to the audience. It's a very intimate shot, and I have to make eye contact. If I'm not looking at the camera, then it looks like I'm not paying attention. So I need to talk to the camera, need to talk to the people at home. This is not the kind of shot that you can have in a Toastmaster meeting, because you're talking one-on-one with the individual. You're talking one-on-one with the home audience. Okay, so this is the magic of television. This is the tools that the director has, and try to watch what happens when you watch a television show. You'll see changes in viewpoint, changes in distance, and that's how we get this intimate, emotional feeling about people that we see on television. That's why we care about people on television. The finalists for American Idol, those sorts of things. So television's come a long ways from trying to transmit still photos over telegraph lines, and television's available everywhere, and it's important that we understand how it works, so that we can understand how to use it in our Toastmaster life. Madam Toastmaster?
Thank you, Rick, for that very interesting speech. I didn't know all that. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
I'd like to begin tonight with a little joke. This guy, he's a farmer, and he says, "Hey, hello, sorry." But seriously, folks.
Speaking in public is no joke.
Doctor says, chicken says...
For help, call Toastmasters, the public speaking support group.
The chicken.
Welcome back. We now come to our second prepared speaker for today. Dave is a visiting Toastmasters from Mount Auburn Club. He will be speaking from the Communicating on Video Advanced Manual. What a perfect place to do it. And he's doing Project 4, the press conference. His objectives are to understand the nature of a video broadcast press conference, prepare for an adversary confrontation on a controversial or sensitive issue, employ appropriate preparation methods and strategies for communicating your organization's viewpoint, present and maintain a positive image. The time is 3 to 5 minutes for his presentation, and then 2 to 3 minutes for the question period. Let us welcome Advanced Communicator Bronze, Dave Capano, the Libertarian's View on Gay Marriage. The Libertarian's View on Gay Marriage. Dave Capano.
Thank you very much, Carol, for this opportunity to come and address your audience. I'm here today to set the record straight. Those that tend to view themselves as liberal have a propensity to view libertarians as conservative. Those that view themselves as conservative tend to view libertarians as liberal. The truth of the matter is, we are both. The truth of the matter is, we are neither. When it comes to our stance on gay marriage, we are very frequently misunderstood. So again, I thank you for the opportunity to set the record straight. Our stance is founded in our principles. Our principle of personal freedom, personal liberty, and personal responsibility. We actually take offense when we're asked about our stance on gay marriage. We don't actually have that stance. Our stance is on marriage, and it equally applies to all. Our stance is simple. Sexual orientation, sexual preference, gender identity should have nothing to do with the way that a government treats an individual. When it comes to marriage, it is a personal relationship. Government has no authority at any level to dictate, license, define, or restrict personal relationships. Marriage is a very important contract. It is a social contract. I'm coming up on 13 years of marriage with my wife. I'm very fond of the fact that I'm married. One simple way to explain where libertarians are coming from is to say that we believe that everyone has the right to be as miserable as the rest of us. I don't view it that way. I'm very happily married. We have 2 wonderful children, and I'm very happy. So my personal view is that I believe that everyone has the right to be just as happy in their relationship as I am. When government intrudes, everyone loses. For those of you that may be liberal, allow me to clear up some issues. We are not in favor of a constitutional amendment to force states to allow any particular type of marriage. Let me address the conservatives. We are not in favor of a constitutional amendment to restrict states from allowing any type of marriage. Marriage is a social contract. It is between the individuals that are involved. I believe my marriage is between myself, my wife, and God. Some people do not believe that, and that's okay. It's between the individual and the other individual in the relationship. Government should stay out of it. They have no reason, no right to dictate what we do in our bedrooms or in our personal relationships. If a government should allow us to engage in a contract with another individual for business purposes, why would they engage in telling us what we can and can't do in our personal social contracts with other individuals? I'd like to take some time for some questions. Yes?
I have a question. I appreciate your perspective that you gave to us. I thought it was very good. What kind of precautions do you think do need to exist to prevent predatory or exploitative relationships that could develop?
Precautions to avoid predatory or exploitative relationships and marriages?
If people find themselves in a marriage that is very oppressive,
sure.
One person who's exploiting the other.
I understand. Thank you very much for that question. The libertarian view on that would be very much the same as the libertarian view on marriage, which is government should stay out of it except to protect the individual. One individual should not be impeded by another individual from their happiness. We all agree with that. It's something that we all get along, on, Everyone believes that. And so when it comes to a marriage, while you may have a social contract that says that this individual and this individual are together, government does have a place in stepping in if this individual and this individual come into conflict. So they have a social contract with one another, and this is precisely why we suggest that the government stay out of that contract between those two individuals, so that they can rightfully step in to protect one of them should they find themselves in a nasty predicament with the other.
Do you think that government has a role in issuing marriage licenses, or should it just be a verbal contract?
Thank you. The question is, do we believe that government has a right to issue marriage licenses? And the answer to that is no, we do not. This is actually a very conservative viewpoint. George Washington did not need a marriage license to be married. Why do we? The laws have changed in particular ways. We issue marriage licenses. It's become a revenue generation mechanism for the state. There are fees charged for those licenses. And no, we do not believe that government at any level has the right to define, restrict, or license personal relationships. I thank you for your question. Yes?
Since we do have licenses for relationships at the moment, what is the stance on forcing individual religions to recognize when they do perform a civil service? If that makes sense.
It does.
For example, a Catholic priest should or should not be forced to perform.
It does. Should particular religions be forced by government to allow particular marriages in their church? No. We have freedom of religion as well, which means the freedom to not practice a particular type. If you find yourself in a religion that does not provide you with the marriage ceremony that you wish to have, I might suggest to you that you find another church. I thank you all very much. I appreciate your questions, and thank you for this opportunity again.
Thank you, Dave, for that very interesting information. When I was in history in high school, I wondered, it was against the law to gamble, and I thought, why should it be against the law if somebody wanted to gamble? I didn't understand why that should be regulated. So I appreciate what you had. We will be right back.
What future do you envision for yourself? What dreams do you have? If you want your dreams to come true, you must have confidence in yourself and your abilities. A Toastmasters Club can help you build that confidence. A low-cost learning experience for men and women. Toastmasters shows you how to express yourself clearly and effectively. Make your dreams a reality. Join a Toastmasters Club.
Welcome back. We now come to the listening, responding, and feedback of the speeches that we heard today. Our general evaluator, who will take control of the meeting for the next few items on the agenda, will be Ram Kapoor. And if you would welcome Ram Kapoor. He's one of our newer members who is on the fast track.
I'm the general evaluator, and also I'm the vice VP Education. So my job is to basically educate everyone on what we do here at TV Toastmasters and invite interesting people over here so that they can improve their speaking skills and abilities, where they can use it in their jobs and any profession they are doing. And today I'm very proud that two young people have come to our TV Toastmasters, Josh and Kent, and they have been accompanied by their parents. So I'm very happy today. So we are having a lot of guests, and I'm sure they will help spread the word to their friends. And we have seen the table topics, and then we also have seen the prepared speeches. Now we have given 1 minute of pause after the prepared speeches, where evaluators can evaluate the speeches. So after this, we are going to have the evaluators come here and reveal their evaluation about the speakers. And the first evaluator is Jess Bailey for Rick Davis's speech. And the second evaluator would be Melanie Gant for Dave's speech. So I call Jess Bailey.
Thank you. Rick, I liked your speech a lot. Television has become such an impact, has had such an impact on our society today. It's really interesting to me. Everybody talks about the shows that they watch on TV. They don't talk about their experiences that they're having anymore. So it's obviously developed over time to have such an impact on our lives. I thought your opening was really good. It caught your eye, or caught your ear, engaged us. I do wish that maybe we would have heard a little bit more about Ruth Lyons. I'm not familiar with who that is. Maybe other people are. But my question was, who is this and why are they significant to Cincinnati? You mentioned they had a TV show. That's really interesting. One thing is very apparent is you're so comfortable up here, which is something I think we can all aspire to be more like. And very knowledgeable on your topic. Do you work in TV? No. Just happen to be very knowledgeable about the television in general. You did cite some sources with Wikipedia. I thought that was really good. Your pace maybe could have been a little bit better in the beginning. You finished up really strong with your pace, but in the beginning I felt maybe it was just a little slow, which didn't allow all your material to get through, or your time maybe stretched out a little bit. In general, I thought your speech was really good. I loved learning about the history of TV. Most of this stuff I didn't know. So, for instance, 1920s, that moving images were first transmitted, and you said over telegraph lines, which is really fascinating to me. And I'm a huge proponent of GE and P&G just from growing up in Cincinnati. So just finding out that GE did the first television broadcast makes me just like them that much more. So, in conclusion, great job. I think we can all aspire to be more like you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I will call upon Melanie Gant for her evaluation for Dave's speech.
Where did Dave? Oh, in the back. Okay. Sorry, I had to find the speaker. I thought overall it was a great presentation. You had wonderful, with your objectives, speaking to the camera, the audience, and taking questions. You did a great job with your stance and turning to the speaker as they asked you, which is one thing, especially with press conferences. You need to do that to communicate with the reporter, which is what you're preparing for. Speaking to the camera is a lot different than giving a public speech to a group of people. And that's where I'm going to go in more detail, because I definitely could see you were great at public speaking, but speaking to the camera might be the problem. The first thing I noticed in more detail is you were crossing your hands in front of you, which is fine when you're at a podium, but when you're at the camera, it looks like you're defensive. So especially when the camera's body language, if you're basically blocking yourself and you want to be open when you're talking to a camera. So I would suggest putting your hands to your side or placing them on the podium, but even placing them on the podium, be careful, because again, depending on the angle of the camera, you may get the angle funny. The second thing is you were swaying slightly, which distracted me, and I know that the camera takes that into effect pretty easily. So trying to spread your legs and get your stance more steady will help your presentation to the camera. And like I said, I'm for the new members. I'm being very detailed, but this is more advanced Toastmaster who's trying to get a specific thing detailed. The other thing is I think you were very well prepared and organized. Your subject was very well researched in your own heart. The one thing I didn't see in this, especially when you're speaking to the general public and the press, you did not have citations to support your stance on being a libertarian on gay marriage. It was more of how you felt about it, not necessarily what the legal stance was. And when, at least for me personally, when I'm talking politically, I like to have at least citation on what the basis of your belief is. I mean, definitely you comment about the First Amendment and free speech, and freedom of religion, but I would definitely suggest that if you're talking to the general public. I don't mean cite the Constitution, but at least reference it. The other thing I found a little was how you define libertarianism. You defined it in dealing with other people and other groups, not defining what your group was. And that's something, at least for me personally, I would suggest in the future, because I am very familiar with what a libertarian is, but a lot of the general public did not necessarily have that knowledge. Like I said, in general, I think it was an awesome presentation. I think you did very well with your audience questions. And there's just more detailed things. I think getting comfortable with the camera is what I would suggest. Like, I am not very familiar with the camera, and I'm learning. So it was a great speech overall. And Dave, I really enjoyed being able to hear it.
Thank you, Melanie. I also really enjoyed Dave's speech, and I learned a lot about the liberal point of view. And I'm not sure whether liberal and libertarian is the same thing, or they belong to the same group, or they are separate, probably. I like the calmness and the quiet tone you had, and it really attracted your attention, basically. And I like people who are very calm at the stage, and it shows a lot of confidence. And you demand a lot of respect from your viewers. So I think you should keep it up. That's really awesome. Then moving on to the next thing is, we have the R counter and the grammarian report. So I would invite Melanie Gant. Richard Gant for the R counter and grammarian report.
Judgment. No. All right, so I hope I've got everybody's names right on here. Carol, I counted exactly one and that seemed out of place. Only one. There I go. As. Do as I say, not as I do. In table topics, I came out with exactly one and that I noticed, and then about 12 more in the past 3 seconds. Steve, table topics master, I counted one ah. So that was well done. Mary, there were 2 ands that seemed out of place when you presented table topics. Janet, you had 3 ahs or ums and 5 ands, and 1 statement that seemed grammatically a little off to me. Rick, I counted 57 ahs and ums.
All right.
Also 16 ands, so's, you knows, and there were 2 times when you said something that sounded grammatically a little off to me. I'm not a professional grammarian, so I could be wrong. I didn't write down what they were. Rom, I counted 16 ahs and ums, and 7 ands, so's, and you knows. Jess, I counted 8 ahs and ums, and 5 ands, so's, and you knows. And Mel, I counted 4 ahs and ums, and then 4 more ands, so's, and you knows. I'll get some more out of the way because I've been doing that all through this presentation.
Thank you. That was a pretty detailed and accurate count. Thank you very much for that. And again, so now I would like to invite the timer report person, Mary Arms.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Okay, I am going to do the table topics. Janet, you were 1 minute and 11 seconds. I don't even want to say what I was. Richard, you were 41 seconds. Okay, I'm 35. In the speaker, Rick Davis, you were 10 minutes and 7 seconds. And Dave, you were on your speech was 4 minutes and 30 seconds, and your questions were 3 minutes and 30 seconds. In the evaluation, Jess, for Rick, was 1 minute and 50 seconds. And Melanie, for Dave, you were 3 minutes and 4 seconds. And that is it.
Thank you very much. As a general evaluator, I had to evaluate the whole meeting, how it goes, and I think today the meeting went very well, and everything was in time. And now I would like to call Carol to take over.
Great job for your first time as general evaluator, being a new Toastmaster. Thank you very much, Rom. One of the things I forgot to mention in the beginning, if you're up here reading your notes, learn to put your eyes down to read your notes rather than putting your head down. And I notice, Rick, you're putting your head down quite a bit. So, with your eyes. I would like to know if any of our guests would like to make comments, and if you want to come up as a family, if that would make it easier for the three of you to come up, would you do that? Josh and your mom and dad? Josh, you want to come up?
Come on, Josh. Sure.
Let's welcome Josh. You were the skateboarder, right?
Yeah,
Oh, great. Okay. What did you think of the meeting?
I thought the meeting went pretty well. Some good points were made, and you did a really good job speaking. So did you. Made some great points, and can't wait for next time.
We hope you're going to be a future Toastmaster. Kent, are you interested in coming up?
Sure.
Well, I like how everybody in this studio here can respect everybody else's view and present their information very objectively, and that to me was very impressive. And I also am very glad that when I was skateboarding here just a couple weeks ago, I met Sri Ram, and I think that I can learn from him quite a little bit.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming up. You're braver than the adults. Janet, did you want to say anything about our meeting so far? You're going to be up here in a minute, but you might.
The meeting is well put together. I know it takes a lot of work to organize all the cameras and everything. We got a little tour on that before the meeting started. Heightened my appreciation of this club. And I want to congratulate this club on being a distinguished club. So.
Thank you very much, Janet. We'll be hearing from you in a minute. Joe Swirling, we haven't heard from you today. Would you like to tell us about what you thought about the meeting? Mr.
Carol?
Toastmaster.
Well organized. Anything that Carol and Rick and the others are involved in, and Nikki with the TV studio here, the meeting's always well coordinated, timed, and only minor editing when it goes out, and the meetings are always fun, like I say, well attended, very informative. Just wish it didn't interfere with my normal Saturday yard sales.
I mean, he only has 5 houses full of stuff, and he needs more. Dave, would you like to say your comments?
It was a pleasure to be here today, and I thank you again for inviting me. It was really awesome. I'm quite impressed, And this is definitely something that I need help with, and I know that. So I thank you very much for the comments. If I could take just about 20 seconds, you mentioned something that I was very concerned about, because I wanted to make sure that I came off as very friendly and open. And I didn't want to do this, because I know that this is imposing. So give me some help. If not this.
Put your arms to the side, rested gently. So basically what you're presenting is a confident stance, but you're resting and you're looking at the camera.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for sharing with us. Did I miss anyone? Our new members, would you like to say anything? Melanie and...
I'm sorry?
As our newest members that are joining today, would you like to say anything? You must like us since you joined.
Stop saying and ah. No. Seriously, I'm really looking forward to this. I feel like I've got some ability at public speaking just as a legacy from things I used to do in my life. I feel like I'm terribly rusty. I am struggling not to say right now. And I'm looking forward to polishing my skills up again, getting back to where I was, and then getting a lot better than I was when I originally. And I think this is the right place to do it. Ellen? Come on up.
Rick.
Like I said last time, it's glad to be back. I've done public speaking and actually decided, I guess last week, talking to a friend, that I'm going to try to do more competitions this time. Because long term, my own personal goal is to do public speaking for groups and training and all kinds of things. So I've got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but I definitely want to be able to stand in front of the camera and do this and be able to talk to people. And you know, it re-inspired me in my career, to be honest, to be able to, anyway.
Thank you. I will now return control of the meeting. Thank you, everyone, for coming. To our president, Rick, to close out the meeting, and then we'll have our installation. The meeting over here.
57 alms in 10 minutes. That's six a minute, so I got to get that down to a reasonable amount, I guess. Yeah. We had a great training. We had 5 of our 7 officers trained at last week at Great Wolf Lodge, and we earned a $25 gift certificate. So we need to figure out something we can spend all that big Toastmaster money on. With that, I would like to thank you all for attending today. Thank you for looking in at home, and we will call the meeting adjourned.